Hi, it's Helen from Heritage Organic Seeds, and today we are starting the sow along for our October subscription box. Today is the 5th of October, so let's get sowing. This video is going to show you how we are going to sow our broad beans. You can sow your broad beans into the ground if you prefer. This is a really hardy variety. Your beans will be hardy to about -11 degrees centigrade Celsius. So if you want to sow in the ground, that is fine. I'm just going to show you how to do it in the modules. It's really wet up here in Cheshire over winter, so I'm going to sow mine in modules and keep them in the greenhouse over the coldest months, and then plant them out onto the ground in sort of late winter, early spring, depending on how wet and wild it is. Hopefully it's not going to be too cold this winter, and we'll be able to have a early start on the growing season next year. By sowing your broad beans in autumn, though, your root systems will start establishing, and it will result in healthier plants next year. You will get an earlier harvest and hopefully higher yields. So in your box you'll have got your broad bean insert. So the variety we're sowing is Super Aquadulce. So Super Aquadulce is a Spanish heritage variety. It can be traced back to 1885 when Vilmorin had a selection of Spanish broad beans called Habit de Sevilla. This particular variety can withstand temperatures as low as -11 degrees Celsius, which makes it the hardiest variety of broad bean. It was the perfect choice for our October box. By sowing these now, you can expect crops from May next year, and you can also sow these in the spring for a summer harvest. So I'm going to sow about 20. I've got a module tray of 20 cells, so I'm going to sow 20 now, and I will sow the rest in the spring. So on the back of your insert, it basically tells you what I've just said. You can either direct sow your autumn broad beans or sow them into deep modules or pots. We prefer to do ours in modules and overwinter them in the greenhouse to prevent damage to the plants more than anything. It is always better to plant broad bean seeds on their side with the scar pointing down into the soil. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So your seed packet has 35 seeds, so I'm going to do 20 now, and I'll do 15 in the spring. And when I say a scar facing down, so this is a broad bean seed and this is the little scar. So we want to pop it that way. Hope you can see that okay. So we're going to fill our modules with compost. Again, just rub it between your fingers to make sure you remove any big clumps. This is an organic compost. It was the only one in the garden centre this year. I feel like we had a few different varieties of organic compost last year, but not as many this year. So you'll know it's organic compost because it will have either a Sowing Association logo on the front, or it will have OF and G organics. They tend to be the most common ones. A lot of composts are talking about things like organic plant food, and then can be a bit misleading, so just be careful with the packets, because just because it has organic plant food doesn't mean it's certified organic compost. So one to watch for. So if you see the logo, that tends to be the biggest giveaway. If there's no logo, it's probably not organic. I'm not quite sure how they get away with it, to be honest, but that is beyond me. So we're just going to fill the cells with the compost, break up any big clumps. So as I say, we've got 20 in here. This was just a module tray from the garden centre that had some violas in. Ideally I would have liked bigger, deeper modules, but this is what I've got. If you want to use the 9cm pots, you can do, or if you've got root trainers, perfect. But rather than go and buy anything, I just try and use what I already have.